Hi, everybody. Welcome to Winsight Live. I'm Jon Springer with Winsight Grocery Business in New York. I'm here with my talented colleagues, as always, Kat Martin in Chicago, Jenn Strailey of Denver, but in Sonoma, California. From CSP Magazine is Brett Dworsky in Chicago, and as always with us, the supermarket guru, Phil Lempert. Phil, a bunch of things in the news this morning, a couple of things I'll share right away. The consumer price index is out today showing grocery prices on a year-over-year basis were up by 5.6% in June. That's up from 4.8% in May. Some of the things we've been talking about here for the last several weeks, in promotion reductions, supply chain choking, COVID-related meat problems, are all adding up to larger grocery bills for shoppers, and they're coming at a time when we're clicking down to the end of the unemployment benefits for all those who may have lost their jobs at the outset of this pandemic. It's not a pretty picture ahead, I don't think, for the U.S. economy. Also today, just prior to getting on here, we finished up a short thing about Amazon Grocery, which has been very guarded about their strategy and was the subject of some stories that came out earlier this year, unimpressed with the technology inside. We find out this morning that they're going to have a proprietary smart cart known as the Dash Cart, which will help tally people's orders as they shop, allow them to go through a special checkout lane, and walk out pretty much in the same manner as an Amazon Go store. So a couple of stories to get us started off, Phil.
So, John, what's interesting to me about the cart is this is not necessarily a new idea. It's probably better technology, but we've seen these carts over the years. You know, Kroger actually in Denver first launched one probably about 25 years ago that actually had like a computer sitting on it that you could do all kinds of things with. Then IBM worked with Stop and Shop probably about 10 years on one. They pulled it out for two reasons in both cases. Number one, the maintenance, and number two, the people tried to steal them. They thought that it was really cool technology. But in talking to the people at Stop and Shop, the number one use for them, and you could order from the deli. So you're, half a pound of sliced ham, and you could put in that you wanted it sliced thin or thick or whatever else would be ready for you when you got there. It showed you where all the products were, but the number one use was using it as a calculator so that people wouldn't overspend on it. So it'll be interesting to see this cart. Actually, they're going to be launching it here in California, in Los Angeles. So when it's open and ready, I'll be there. I'm also curious how you're going to be able to use your frequent shopper card, if at all, on using this, because that's one of the biggest complaints that we're hearing from consumers when they're shopping online, whether it's with Instacart or Shipt or whatever else, that they can't use coupons, that they can't use the frequent shopper card. The prices are higher, if you would, than in store in many cases, including Albertsons. Talking about the economy, the other thing that nobody's really talking about. I mean, I guess they're talking about it, but we have, because of COVID-19, a shortage of coins, of pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters, because less people are using cash when they're going shopping. So now, in fact, the U.S. Federal Reserve announced that the pandemic has significantly disrupted the supply chain and normal circulation patterns for U.S. coins. In the past few months, coin deposits from depository institutions to the Federal Reserve have declined significantly, on and on and on. U.S. Mint's production of coin has also decreased due to measures put in place to protect its employees. I don't understand that last part with the employees. I don't envision that there's a lot of people standing there hand stamping out pennies. I would think that that's, somewhat automatic. But what's interesting is Kroger, I think, is the first retailer that says, we're not going to give you back change. We're not going to give you back coins. So either that difference of money can be put on your frequent shopper card so you can use it the next time you shop, or you can round up to give it to one of the Kroger, charities. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of reaction consumers have. I like getting change back. But also,
Yeah.
White Castle. I grew up near a White Castle in New Jersey, which was, our favorite place to hang out. What we would do is, and I'm talking about it being a teenager, we would all go out on our dates, and then we would meet up at White Castle afterwards to talk about our dates. But that might not be as human as what's happening now. White Castle has become the first fast food restaurant to test out Flippy. Flippy is that robot that I guess we first wrote about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where it's a robot that basically flips hamburgers so that you don't have a human being having to do it. So that's all I got. Kat, what's up these days with CSAs?
Well, before I get into CSAs, I wanted to go back when you were talking about the coin shortage. NGA had put out a statement a couple of weeks ago about this, and
Yep.
Meijer also in some of its stores has stopped accepting cash at its self-checkout. So that was kind of a way that
Total cash, dollars and coins.
yes. So it was
Wow.
just debit cards, credit cards, EBT cards. So it was card only but that was just at the self-checkout. They were still at the time accepting cash at their regular registers. That may have changed now that the situation seems to keep getting worse.
So, Kat, I would think that MasterCard and Visa these days are really happy.
I'm sure with all of
The
the
swipe
card
fees
fees
and
they're
stuff.
getting.
Yeah, all the swipe fees. We're going to eliminate, we're back to 1984. We're not going to have any cash, any coins, and, they're
Yep.
going to implant that chip right
Yes.
here. So I don't,
They'll know
so I
what we're
don't
doing
need,
anyway.
yeah, so I don't need to carry 5 credit cards with me at all times.
Yeah. But anyway, so your question about CSAs. So, community supported agriculture boxes, they've been big for years. It used to be that you had to reach out to the farms directly. Some of the issues, I've never done a CSA simply because one, they were kind of expensive. You were committed to, a full, probably, I think they're usually about 6 months long, and they were big boxes, and I just am a single person. So it never made sense for me to get, 8-10 pounds of produce every single month.
Right.
But FreshDirect now is offering 3 different boxes of CSAs that you can order straight from their platform. So it makes it a little bit easier. They're non-subscription, so you can order one a month. You can order it whenever you want it. You're not, committed to 6 months of these boxes of produce. They're delivered to you. Some of them you do have to go pick up. I think one of the boxes you have to pick up, but that's another issue, is like sometimes the CSAs weren't, easy to get to. The one farm that they did partner with, which I think is an absolutely great idea, and it is it's the Dig box. And so they partnered with Dig Acres, and this is a smaller box. This one is only $15, and it's meant to be just for one person, or if you're just wanting to make one meal. So it only has 4 to 6 different fruits and vegetables. And then it also includes instructions on how to use them, because sometimes they give you some, random vegetables or fruit that you don't really know what to do with. And then it also includes a recipe from the restaurant's chef. So, it gives you a lot of great ideas on how to actually use these products.
So anybody ever use CSAs? Just the guys.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Okay. So here's the trivia question of the day. Anybody know who developed CSAs first?
Bill Lempert.
No.
I wish. No, it's actually around 1915. Booker T. Watley and Dr. George Washington Carver, both Black farmers, were the ones who came up with CSAs. And the reason was those days, 1915, there were a lot of Black farmers in the nation, much more than we have today. There were about 1 million farms that were owned by Black farmers. And as that declined, and it declined for a whole bunch of political reasons, I'm not going to get into that. So Watley went to study agriculture at Alabama A&M University after serving in the Korean War, where he was managing a 55-acre hydroponic farm. This is like 1920, we think hydroponic farms just came up now. Then he got his doctorate in horticulture, began his career as an agriculture professor at Tuskegee, where he met Dr. Carver. And then they started the CSA, and it was called the Clientele Membership Club. That was the original name of it.
Yeah, I like the CSA, and just to shed a little light on it, we had it come to a little local kind of upscale cheese and beer bodega that was right around the corner from our home, and very convenient. But look, if I had to walk more than 2 blocks to bring that stuff home, every might not do it. So we moved. We haven't done it, but you wind up with a little, few too many rutabagas, and you got to listen,
Yeah,
but
you don't.
that's part of the fun. I have to say that we miss getting it, and we did that for a couple of years.
Well, now you can get it from FreshDirect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you're in New York. So, Jon, Ocado has made a lot of news recently, obviously because of the Kroger investment, because Kroger's building all these things. But the CEO of Ocado had something interesting to say. What was it?
He's not a guy that's known for soft peddling the transformative technologies at his hands, but so he's the lead. Tim Steiner, the CEO of Ocado, was speaking this morning at a conference call with analysts to discuss their financial results for the 6-month period, and proclaimed the world has changed, and all of the structural things that we've talked about here for weeks now. People changing their minds and their habits about how they're going to shop. This move to online being permanent, citing 6 times growth in the U.S., double growth in the U.K., triple growth or triple-digit growth in China. And he's, again, let's keep this all in perspective. He said he envisions a future where you could 75 to 80% of the industry shopping online, and then the implications of that. You've got the best technology, you've got the most, you've got the highest share. This is obviously going to be a thing that's going to be devastating to brick and mortar groceries, and that's in Ocado's interest to say so. But it's interesting to hear his remarks, and we wrote a little bit about that this morning. I think he's right about a couple things. The change to online is definitely going on. I think a portion of it's going to be pretty sticky. I think that consumer habits have changed to a certain degree where they might feel better doing things online that they might normally do in stores, particularly now in the U.S. that we cannot seem to get over this, this cycle of this coronavirus crisis. So interesting comments from Tim Steiner and Ocado. They're coming to the U.S. early next year with Kroger. And they, as we noted earlier, last month, they just opened their first North American facility just outside of Toronto with Sobeys.
So let's go to the opposite extreme of online and robots. And Jenn, you put up a great slideshow for the new Smart and Final Extra. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it? Because when I was looking at the pictures, I was really surprised. I was really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, it's, kind of, well, it's a Smart and Final Extra store in Turlock, California. And this is their first in Turlock. They've had a distribution center there since 2013. But yeah, I think it's it looks like a fresh, bright store that's kind of, offering you club sizes of a variety of goods with no membership fee.
And a lot of organics. The one thing that I noticed in the pictures that you posted, I was surprised to see so much attention on bulk foods because of the pandemic, especially. I'm seeing less retailers closing down their bulk food sections because people are putting the shovels in and they're getting the nuts and candies and stuff like that. But they really seem to be pushing bulk foods.
Absolutely. And, Smart and Final Extra was just, it's part of this flurry of new store openings, which we've talked about before. And I think, what was happening is, obviously these stores were already, well in development when this happened. So, things like a bulk food station or a bar with, a wine and beer bar. I've seen so many new stores with these gorgeous bars, which are going to have to be on hold, indefinitely. Yep. I know with Whole Foods, they've had a just a number of new stores in the last month. And two of them, one in Castle Rock, Colorado, and one in East Austin, were scheduled to open in the spring, and they delayed those openings, and they were using them as dark stores. And now they're open and beautiful. And same thing with a Baltimore store. They announced that they're opening one in DC, but these were probably already they were already in the pipeline and
Yep.
due to open earlier. So I think it's not really possible to make kind of last minute changes. So you've got a lot of these in-store eating areas that are just going to be quiet for now.
Well, what I've noticed at my local Gelson's here in Santa Monica is that they had a beautiful area adjacent to a Wolfgang Puck area for wines and tables being seated and stuff like that. They're really just putting hard goods in there for sale. So that's where they're selling the barbecues from and stuff like that. And I got to tell you, it looks pretty schlocky. It really does. I've got another Gelson's nearby, and I can only imagine what came into my mind as you were talking. They had a beautiful bar built, absolutely beautiful. And I can only imagine now there's probably boxes of toasters on there, for people to go buy toasters. Let's go to our Facebook page, and Dave Forman is with us. Hey, Dave. Growing up, his family was part of a group that bought big from the wholesale produce market, then split it up each Saturday. Yeah, another way of looking at produce. So Brett, it's time for our weekly mask story. Is Brett with us? No, we lost Brett. Brett, are you there?
Oh no, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here,
okay.
yes,
So
I'm here.
give us our weekly mask story.
For sure. So some news out of Wisconsin. As part of a new COVID-19 relief program initiated by Governor Tony Evers, the state is distributing face masks to convenience stores, restaurants, supermarkets, and other food processors throughout the whole state. In total, the state is providing about 60,000 masks for public-facing workers, which is pretty great. And most of the masks are coming through the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. So it's mostly going to the Wisconsin Restaurant Association and the Wisconsin Grocers Association. I think about 45,000 of the 60,000
Wow.
are going to them. But then others include, it's about 2,000 masks for the Wisconsin Petroleum Marketers and C-Store Association. And then others are small meat processors, the Wisconsin Cheese Makers Association, and the Midwest Food Products Association. So really great stuff on that end. And then a bigger shipment, so Wisconsin Emergency Management is going to be shipping more than 2 million masks and over 4,000 infrared thermometers to public, charter, and private schools throughout the state.
So, John, FDA came out with a new announcement on safety regulations, and I'd like you to share with us that. But before you do, I know Frank Yanis, who was at Walmart, who's now down at FDA. I think he's assistant secretary or something like that. And Frank is great, and Frank is brilliant, and he really worked with Walmart on the IBM Food Trust and blockchain and stuff like that. So when I read the announcement this morning, and it just seems like the FDA doesn't get it. I mean, what they're talking about doing now because of the pandemic is what Frank did at Walmart 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm going to kick most of this analysis over to Kat because I think she wrote about it for us this morning. But Frank, I know Frank as well. He did a really cool thing where they could demonstrate to you in 20 seconds where a plum came from.
Yep.
Buy on a store, and that's fascinating stuff. But Kat wrote a little bit about the FDA this morning. So, Kat, what do you take away from that?
Yeah, well, this all is a bit confusing, I guess. I don't quite wrap my head around it as well as I should. But the agency said smarter food safety. This is all about the new era of smarter food safety blueprint that they released yesterday or the day before. It was sometime this week. Well, I guess that would have been yesterday because yesterday was Monday. But the agency said smarter food safety is about more than just technology. It's about simpler, more effective, and modern approaches and processes. It's about leadership, creativity, and culture. Our ultimate goal is to bend the curve of foodborne illness in this country by reducing the number of illnesses. And, FMI and AFFI came out in support of this, saying, it's very commendable about, this move to making things simpler, more technology based. It's all still trying to make the Food Modernization Act, applicable, I guess, and make it work.
So, but here's
details there. So I'm still confused as to
Yeah.
how it's all going to work.
But here's my problem with this. Yes, every trade association put out a press release saying, "Oh yeah, great. FDA is great." They have to do that. Whether they believe it or not, they've got to do that because they're in Washington and so on. If we really want to make our food supply safer, maybe what we should be doing is shutting down all these meat packing facilities, put robots in, putting a shower curtain between, the shoulders of workers in meat packing facilities is absurd. That's not going to help anything. We just had another recall on spinach or bag lettuce. We keep on doing this. So yeah, it's great that all these associations can applaud that the FDA, is doing all this stuff. Something, in my opinion, put Frank Yanis in charge of this whole thing, give him whatever budget he needs, and in 3 months he'll fix this whole thing. He understands it, he gets it, but this is just politics. I mean, it angers me when I look at the food safety problems that we've got in this country and the amount of people that get sick or die from foodborne illnesses every year, and we're giving lip service to it. I'm sorry for the rant.
And I wonder too, like you had said, give him the budget that he needs. And I think that's probably where the issue lies, is no one's getting the budget they need in order to really,
Not true. Not true.
what this is.
Not true. Barr's getting the budget he needs. Pompeo's getting the budget he needs. Trump is getting the budget he needs. I mean, but no, we can't have masks, and we have to have, meatpacking workers die.
Well, and the other thing, is we've trained the American people that food is cheap. And so,
Absolutely.
and in order to make food cheap, then you can't always do everything that maybe needs to be done in the way it needs to be done. That's essentially why we have the meatpacking plants that we have now, is they can process a lot, they get it out the door fast, and people are now, complaining when their ground beef goes up by 50 cents a pound or whatever. We've been trained that food is cheap, and we have, I think, if not the one of the cheapest food
we have
industry
absolutely.
structures in the world. And so asking the American people to spend more money on food is going to be a tough road to hoe.
Yeah, but still, we've got to have a reality check of what's more important: 50 cents more for ground beef, as you said, or somebody dying from E. coli.
I think we're answering that right now, Phil. So.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, Jen, give us some good news.
Right.
So I'm not the bad one here.
I thought this was a great idea. With everything going on with COVID-19, blood banks are experiencing shortages, and Stater Brothers just announced this new promotion with Not a Moo, which is a vegan ice cream, and Lifestream blood banks in California, and they're doing a pint for pint promotion. So you donate
that's so cool.
of blood, and you get a free pint of Not a Moo ice cream.
That's very cool. I love that. That's some great news. So thank you for joining us today on Winsight Live. Again, check out our archives on Winsight Grocery Business and on CSP's website and Facebook pages and SupermarketGuru website and Facebook pages. And I hope you like our new opening music and our new opening graphic. Nobody even mentioned that in our Facebook. Sorry, Tony.
Thanks to Tony and to Jonathan for taking care of that for us.
Exactly. So thanks again, and we'll be back on Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific and 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Till then, be safe, wear a mask, and don't listen to the FDA.